Let's get into this right now, man. Hella Classic, Noah Ayala, Mr. Swift, and
yes, sir.
Special guest. You might have heard of Nice and Smooth. You may have seen these Vlad TV interviews going crazy. But,
right.
What's up, man?
Chilling, baby. How you feel?
It's good. We're glad to have you on here, man.
Definitely,
you know
definitely good to be here.
Is that I remember sometimes I rhyme fast, sometimes I rhyme slow. Of course,
right.
As DJs, we all remember like Gangstar, DWYCK, and songs like that. But I had no idea how far your roots actually go back and all the different people you've been involved with.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Like,
yep.
When did you get in the game as far as MCing goes? Nice and Smooth. That was like late 80s?
Yeah, that was late 80s. I met Greg in like late 86, and we teamed up in 87. But late 85 is when I met Bobby Brown.
We taking it there already? I was gonna try to ease into it. But...
Okay. yeah, man. Yeah, and like, growing up in the Bronx, I was around it ever since, the inception. I was a kid, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So Melly Mel and all of those cats, they lived in my neighborhood. So I was seeing that, and wanting to do it. But I was a kid, and all of them, they had the dope, deep voices, Melly Mel and Curtis Blow it up, Melly Mel. And I was like, oh, shit. Excuse my French. I can't.
No, you can cuss. You can cuss.
Oh, I could cuss. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so honestly, if you cuss, it makes me and Swift feel more comfortable. So
yeah, okay, say no more. Well, fuck that shit. Nah, I might play. But anyway,
be yourself, man.
Yeah, man. So the thing was, just growing up, briefly, just growing up in the Bronx, I was exposed to it, early, and I would see these cats, and I was fascinated. You know what I'm saying? I saw Flash DJ in the park. I saw Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa. I saw them all. You know what I mean?
And then day one.
Man, from day one, square one, I went to my first hip hop jam when I was 10 years old, bro.
Wow.
Yeah. And my boy was 13. He was like 13, 14. And, like in my, in the hood, like I was the youngest out of 5. So my older brothers was like real popular, So I always hung out with people that was older than me. So one of my boys, his name is Tony Hines. He's no longer with us in the physical, but Tony took me to my first hip hop jam. He said, yo, man, you want to go to the jam? I was like, what you talking about? He was like, oh, man, they rocking, man. Flash is in the park. And it was Flash battling DJ Kool Herc. And I went, and that was the first jam. And I missed my curfew because I was supposed to be in the house at 8. And I got caught up, and I got home like 10, and my mom's whipped my ass. So I got my first ass whooping for hip hop when I was 10.
Oh, you took the sacrifice. You
yeah.
Like hip hop Jesus.
Yes, that part. You know what I'm saying? So
since you've been there since the early days, and when we think hip hop party now, I mean, we think a DJ, bottle service, women, but I'm sure you didn't know you were participating in what would later become history. But
had no idea.
Like, what was a jam really like back in those early days of hip hop?
Oh my God. All right. I'm glad. That's a great question. Okay. So you got a park, right? And it wasn't until like, as time went on, it got more popular. But let's say you had a schoolyard and maybe like 30, 40 people out there, and they would take these long cords. They would set up the cords and plug them into either the lamp post or whatever for the electricity for their system. And it's like when you was walking toward the park, like there were these big schoolyards in the Bronx. And my first gym I went to was in this high school called Taft High School. And that's on 170th in the Bronx, but it's a giant schoolyard. So for blocks, as you would walk, and then plus and back then in the surrounding areas, it was abandoned buildings. So when the music played, it would echo off the buildings for blocks. So it was like, you could be 10 blocks away, 8 blocks away, and you start hearing it like, they jamming. And so you get there and it'd be like maybe 20, 30 people, and they all just standing around checking out the DJ. And the first time, and then a couple of them started breakdancing. I don't even know what inspired these motherfuckers to just dance like that.
Breakdancing back then?
Wait. There was, damn. It was breaking, but it was before they called it breakdancing. It was, I'm gonna come back to that. I hope it comes to me. I I forgot. Damn. But yeah, they had a term for it before they called it break dancing. And the break dancing originated because in the records, whatever record they would find, they would call that the break in the record. And then everybody that was right, and everybody was familiar with that. So when you started dancing and whatnot, you know, that was, you were break dancing. But fuck it, it'll come back to me. But yo, dude, this shit was crazy. It was like surreal. It was like hip hop was like a fucking virus in a good way. Like everybody was becoming infected by the vibration, and it was just so weird because it was something that you understood, but you knew that it was for you if you were in the inner city. So everybody loved Rick James and the Jacksons, and you know, it was music that was popular around the world. Everybody loved it, soul music, but it was like hip hop was for you because it was like it was on your block. The artists were coming up with these fantastic rhymes and telling stories and making you feel good, but it was like, did you ever see that television show, The Get Down?
Yup. I was just gonna bring that up.
Yeah, it was a lot. That was very authentic. I love To Get Down because it gave a good glimpse, you know what I'm saying? And so it was, yeah, man. Oh man, the feeling was amazing, bro. It was just a trip, you know.
So at an early age, you start going to these parties. So it's only right you get infected with the hip hop bug. So how do you Greg Nice link up?
All right, now this was a funny thing. I was on the road with Bobby Brown, right? Yeah. This is crazy. A lot starts with Bobby.
So you met Bobby before you met Greg Nice?
Yes, I met Bobby.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you meet Bobby Brown then?
Oh yeah, let's take it there. At that time, now you gotta understand something. At that time, I was all, you know, I like to hustle. I grew up around hustlers, but my brothers, anyway, I got a set of twin brothers, and basically my family always was trying to motivate me to do something with my life and shit. So the thing was, I was attracted to the twins. We call them Shake and Blue, Richard and Robert. They were twins. And then I had Michael and Charles with my other older two brothers, and they always had jobs. So now here's the point. They was like, yeah, man, you always, you gotta get a job. And back then, when you turned 18, it was like your mom, my mom rather, well, all parents, they were preparing your ass to get out the house when you was 18. So boy, the day after high school, motherfucker, you better have an apartment. You know what I'm saying? Type shit. So it was really a trip. And like these days and times, you talk about an 18-year-old preparing them to get the fuck out into the world. You're like, what are you talking about? But anyway, different times, right? So I always had all types of different jobs. I did all types of shit. I worked UPS, messenger work, receptionist. So at this one time, my last job that I worked was a bike messenger. I used to do bike messenger for a little while, and then I would just do regular foot messenger in New York. And I had this vision, this fucking plan, because I used to always read the back of the album covers. And when you read, you buy your favorite album, you turn it over, you read the credits, and I always would see CBS Records, and it would say 51st Street and whatever, 6th Avenue or whatever. And so, and every album cover had the address of the label. And so I came up with this idea. I was like, yo, fuck that. Because this was a time where I was like, I got to get a record deal or something, man. I got to make it happen. And I made a couple of demos, and shout out to WizKid, this guy WizKid from the Soul Sonic Force. He made my first demos for me. And when I got my demos, I was like, shit, I didn't know nobody in the music industry. So I said, fuck it. If I become a messenger, I'll be able to go all around the city. I could wear my Sony Walkman and listen to my music. And shit, I'm free. That was my shit. I wanted to have freedom, but I wanted to be able to make demo tapes. And if I passed by a record company, I could drop my tape off. So that was my plan. Bam. I start doing this shit. Next thing you know, as time goes on, I start running into people. You know how they say, the law of attraction. This shit is real, bro. Because I had posters on my wall. And when I took the initial steps to make a demo and all of that, I used to always just stare at the posters. But then after a while, they were just there, but I guess they were in my peripheral. The shit was in my cipher. So, but when I started doing the messenger work, everybody on my fucking wall I was seeing. It was crazy. And so I had a New Edition, and I would meet them on the street, and I had a New Edition poster on my wall, right? Okay, fine. So I like New Edition. It was dope, whatever. So but I didn't think about it. One day, I'm doing the messenger work. Now, right before this day comes, I'm introduced to Mixmaster Ice by a mutual friend in the Bronx. Mixmaster Ice, you know, at the time they had Roxanne. That was the hottest shit, you know, in the game at the time. And I meet the DJ. My boy introduces me to the DJ, Mixmaster Ice, and he tells Mixmaster Ice, yo, this is my man D Barnes, because everybody used to call me D Barnes. We're like, this D Barnes, man. He said, but what they call you, Smooth now? I was like, yeah, I'm Smooth B. So he says, okay, spit for him, you know, rhyme for him, whatever. So I started rhyming for Mixmaster Ice. Mixmaster Ice is like, yo, you dope. Now back then, you ran with the inspiration. If somebody was on and they told you that you were good, that meant you had a chance. So that pumped me up. Then before the night was over, it was like 2 a.m. I said, yo, I got to break out. They was like, yo, what's up? We hanging? I said, nah. I said, I got to go to work in the morning. They said, what you do? I said, I'm a messenger. And then Mixmaster Ice in turn says, I used to be a messenger. Now I'm through the roof. I'm like, what? I'm on my way. That's a sign. You know, everything was a fucking sign to me. That's a sign. Stepping some shit. That's a sign. Okay. So now I'm on my shit. But ironically, 2 weeks after, I'm talking about, if it was maybe 10 days later, I go to work. This one day I'll never forget, because I didn't want to go to work because it was drizzling. And something kept prompting me, go, motherfucker, go. And you know, you don't really want to do messenger work in the rain, you know, whatever. You got to be really into the shit. So long story short, I get downtown, I stop in this pizza shop, and because it's drizzling, I was like, yeah, let me go in this pizza shop until this shit raise up. And while I'm sitting there, I'm looking out the window, and I see Mixmaster Ice across the street. Bam! I come out the pizza shop. Yo, Mix. He look, who that? Like, the Smooth, nigga. He called me across the street. What you doing, man? I said, I'm chilling, man. I said, you know, I'm doing the messages. He said, yeah, I see you. He said, then he says to me again, I used to be a messenger. I said, yeah, you told me. I said, what you doing? He said, I'm waiting for this dude, Bobby Brown, man. He said, because I'm producing a song on his album. And I was like, Bobby Brown. I was like, why do I know that name? And he said, you know, I said, Bobby. And he said, from New Edition. I was like, okay. And at that time, they were saying that Bobby Brown was out of the group because he had skin cancer. You know, these different rumors and shit. So I was like, what, the one with skin cancer? You know, he's like, nah, man. He was like, nah, he ain't got no damn skin cancer, man. I said, I'm looking at magazines and shit at that time, and I'm like, why they say he had good? He said, this is publicity shit. Nah, he coming down now. So we standing in front of the Omni Hotel, and out walks Bobby. He introduces me to Bobby. Yo, what's up? He tells him, yo, this is a dope MC from the Bronx. Bobby goes, oh, word? So bring him to the studio with us. So now I'm like, oh, shit. So he goes, yo, you want to come? And I was like, oh, now I'm on the clock. Yada, yada. I explained the scenario. Boom, boom. He says, I'm staying in the Omni Hotel. Come through later on, and we kick it. So long story short, I went there that evening. I met him. I rhymed for him. But in the process of rhyming for him, while I was waiting, LL comes through the door. Eric B comes through the door. And this is right before Eric B and Rakim dropped. So it was just crazy. So I'm seeing Red Alert. DJ Red Alert walks through the door. So I'm sitting there like, oh, shit. Because all of these guys had love for Bobby because they knew he loved rap. So one thing led to another. Then Mixmaster was the last one to come. So I'm quiet the whole time. I'm just sitting there like in awe, like, oh shit, LL, he got the big ass ropes on. I'm like, what the fuck, LL? So I'm just sitting there, and you know, I'm still like, I'm on my way. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there and shit. And then Mixmaster Ice comes in, and he's like, Smooth, you made it. And I'm like, yeah. So he goes, did you rhyme yet? And I was like, nah. And he was like, nah, fuck that. And Bobby had this big ass radio, big ass box on the dresser. And like 10, 40 ounces of, 40s wasn't out yet. They were quarts, like 10 quarts of OE and shit. And so I start rhyming, I'm going. And they was like, boom, after about 3 rhymes, you know, they just was vibing. And then I said, oh, okay, fuck that. Let me go into my stash. And I gave them niggas about 200 bars that night. When I started getting into my bag, they was like, yo, they started laughing and smiling. Yo, he's dope. And then after that, Bobby pulls me to the side. He goes, yo, you got a producer? And shit, at that time, I didn't know what a fucking producer was, really. I didn't know what a producer did. He's like, you got a producer? And I was like, no. He said, I'm going to be your producer. Then after that, you know, we started rocking. And then the very next day, he had a studio session, and I went. And Dr. Ice from UTFO at that time was writing for Bobby. And he didn't make it to the session. And that was my shot. And then I wrote for Bobby on a song. And then after that, I wrote all the raps on the first album, King of Stage album. and I wrote the bridge on My Prerogative. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then I end up going on the road. Yeah, hey man. You know, but yeah, it was good, huh?
On Vlad TV, I don't want to rehash what you and Vlad already talked about, but you told a crazy ass story about you and Bobby Brown meeting Michael Jackson, which I'm not gonna give out the story. If you want to see it, you got to watch Vlad TV. But during the story, though, you also said that you and Bobby Brown met Prince.
Yes.
And I'm hoping this Prince story might be as good as this Michael Jackson story. Cause
okay, yo, I'm gonna tell you that the Michael Jackson joint was just on another level, right? Oh man, you dig what I'm talking about? That was some other shit. But Prince, it was more subtle. You know, it just was like, it was some amazing shit because Bobby was on tour. So when, I wore many hats when I went on the road with Bobby. So it was like, I was a background singer, I was a valet, I was whatever the fuck, I'm your right hand man, I'm down. So the thing was, he would do different shows. Of course, he's touring, he's going around the country. So we came to Minneapolis, bro. And the shit was crazy. And when he performed in Minneapolis, he was on tour with Ready for the World and Club Nouveau and World Class Wrecking Crew. And nobody knew that Dre was gonna be Dre. That's another story. So I'm seeing Dre every night. But that's crazy, right? So now, we come to Minneapolis with the tour, and Janet Jackson came. And I was like, oh, Janet Jackson. She came with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So I was bugging like, wow. Boom. Then after that, they were like, yo, man, Prince may come through. That's they told. So Bobby was like, oh, word? So we done did the show and everything, and then we in the dressing room. He's like, yo, I think Prince is here, man. I think he's gonna come, But Prince moves so mysterious, you know what I'm saying? So he moving around. And then he had that club, what was it called? First Avenue, the one that he used in the Purple Rain movie. So then some guy just pops up and he goes, Bobby, I guess he was affiliated with Prince, and he says, Prince apologized for not making it to the show. He wanted to make it, but he wants to know if y'all will come down to First Avenue. And I was like, oh shit, so come on, Smooth. Now you about to meet Prince? And that shit was crazy. I was like, what the fuck? So we go up in the First Avenue joint. And this one wasn't as crazy like Mike. But I just got a chance to meet him, you know what I'm saying? And he was fly, he had his purple shit on, and I was just like, oh shit. And he was like, hey Bobby, how you doing? And he was kicking it, and I just was standing there, and I shook his hand. I was like, oh shit. He looked perfect, man. That motherfucker Prince looked crazy. He looked like I was looking at the album cover. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, and then he was just chilling, and Sheila E. was there, and I just had me fucked up.
Ooh, I know Sheila E. was bad in the 80s.
Woo! You saw Crush Groove?
Yes, I did.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, man. That shit was crazy, man.
I gotta imagine being on the road with Bobby Brown.
Yes, sir.
It gotta be sex, drugs, and rock and roll 24/7, right?
Oh man, this shit is amazing. Thank God.
Your intro to the game, sort of, right? Like before Nice and Smooth.
Right. This is what I'm saying.
Like, give me an example of like.
Oh, Groupie Game, you said?
Yeah, what was that like being on tour with Bobby Brown? Like, that's crazy.
Yo, the shit was like, it was like a smorgasbord of bitches. So to speak. It just didn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, you go on the road, and for me, I was just like, everything was new to me. So I'm learning, and we all are artists first. And one thing I want to say, of course, in terms of Bobby, everybody know Bobby, like a persona of him, and they be like, yo, boom, 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 boom. But Bob is not 100% a madman, wild man, and nothing like that. And he has a very moral side to him, So he was basically navigating me through the game because everything was moving so fast. I was like, oh shit. And so he was like, one half, he's like, oh no, this is groupie season. And then on another note, he's like, yo, boom, boom, boom. But his whole thing was he said, they're women, so you treat them with respect. So it wasn't like we was wilding on chicks and nah. we always treated them with respect, make sure they was all right. You need something? You boom, 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 boom. You don't want something to eat? You know, all that type of shit, you know, cool shit. And that's the ethics that I learned from Bobby. But nigga, I've seen females do some shit that's unimaginable. Like I used to be like, whoa, 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 what just happened? You know, so yeah, it was activity, it was hard work. I learned work ethic. I used to watch Bobby. One time we did, I think it was Tallahassee, Florida. And he comes out on the stage, he starts performing, he ripping it down. And something happened. I don't know how it happened either. He was reaching his hand out to this girl or something, but he ended up falling off the stage and landing on his head. So everybody was like, oh, you know, everybody was bugging. And I guess maybe it was the fact that we was young and them young bones would snap back. But he landed on his head. The motherfucker popped up instantly, walked back up on the stage, rubbing his head. Everybody's like, yo, he was like, damn, that shit hurt. Okay, on with the song. And then and the band went right back into it. And he started tearing that shit down. You know what I'm saying? So it was a funny thing. And like, as time went on, I would find myself going through, I done fell off a couple of stages. Like, it just would be funny shit that I could compare to, you know, to my experience. So I saw how running with him prepared me for the game.
Right, and I feel like that got to be a great boot camp, like entering like Nice and Smooth in hip hop.
What? Yes. Oh man, it was like, it laid it out for me. You know, my whole Bobby Brown experience prepared me for Nice and Smooth. And the stories that I heard that he would share with me more or less prepared me for the industry. So I was like, yo, but yeah, you know, I knew how to move once it happened. Yeah.
So let's go back to you meeting Greg Nice.
Oh yes. Okay, so now go ahead. Oh, so now this is crazy. So now while we on the road, it's getting a little deep. So I'm starting to record with Bobby. So we doing some tracks and whatnot. And so his whole thing was he was used to a band. You know, all his music was played by band, all New Edition songs, that's real musicians and all of that. So we were entering an era that people refer to as the golden era, the late 80s, early 90s, and so forth, where sampling was the thing. And they didn't call it, it wasn't titled sampling, you know, and which is the origin of that is you're only taking a sample of the record. So anyway, but they didn't call it like sampling at that time. But anyway, cats was doing it. So they was taking the original sound from soul records and rhyming over them, hooking it up, pump the beat a little bit, whatever, right? And so at that time, Bobby was telling me, yo, boom, 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 don't worry about it, your album gonna be dope. And whatever songs you write, whatever songs you like, if you want to do some other songs over or whatever, take a beat, my band could play the shit. And I was just like, it ain't gonna sound like the record. You know what I'm saying? So my thing was, I was like, So at a point, I was like, I'm gonna go to New York and refresh and reboot and get some of that energy. And then I'll come back and we'll build further. All right, best. So at that point in time, Bobby had just moved to California. So I went back to New York for a couple of months, but at the end of the tour, there was a guy, his name was Lance Romance, and he was on tour with us. And he always would talk about Texas. So I just thought the motherfucker lived in Texas. So when we landed, we landed in LaGuardia Airport together. I'm getting ready to go catch a cab. He like, yo, Smooth, where you going? I said, I'm gonna go over here and check this out. I said, motherfucker, what are you doing in New York? He said, no, I live here. I said, I thought you lived in Texas. He said, nah, I live in New York. He said, my family, I was born in Texas, but I live in New York. I said, where? He said, in the Bronx. I said, motherfucker, I live in the Bronx. And it was so crazy that he lived around my old neighborhood. And that was bugged out. And he was the first cat my age back then that was like renting cars that I knew. So he's like, no, I got a rental. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. And so I jump in the car with him, and he drive me uptown. He drive me to my crib. And on the way to my crib, he says, yo, I was listening to what you were saying to Bobby. And I was using an example of like Eric B. and Rakim using I Got Soul, you know, like those beats. I said, motherfuckers is, you know, taking James Brown joints. I got to find out how they doing that shit, you know? And so he said, yeah, he said, Actually, he was the first one that said that term to me. He said, no, that's called sampling. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. He said, and I know somebody that knows how to do that. And I said, yeah. And it was Greg, you know. He said, I'm gonna introduce you to a man. He's young, he's a little younger than you, but this motherfucker know about them drum machines and all that. And I was like, yeah. I said, okay, well, fuck it then. So about the next day, he came and got me, and he brought me to Greg. And at that time, Greg was rhyming with a guy. Well, Greg wasn't rhyming yet, but he was in his group he was in a group with this guy named June Love. And June Love was dope, man. You know, I love June. And, you know, June ended up getting murdered and so forth and so on. But the crazy part was their formula was crazy. So Greg used to do the beatbox for him, and Greg used to make the beats. So we listening, you know what you do. You exchange demos. I'm playing a couple of demos, and they playing their demos, and we smiling, and we enjoying each other's company. And we smoking a lot. Me and June was smoking weed. Greg didn't smoke at the time. He was just drinking beers. And we're drinking and we blowing trees. And then June, and you know, my shit was always mixing and singing with the rappers. So I had all types of routines. So I'm singing some of my routines and rhyming. And then June started doing some of that shit. And we laughing and we bugging out. And then I said, look, man, we had such a good time. I was like, look, man, I said, because like we had about 4 days off. I said, I'm getting ready to go back on the road with Bobby. I said, but we're going to stay in contact. I said, one day we got to do a record together. And that was the last note that we left on. Now, mind you, how crazy is this? How bizarre. The guy's name was June Love. He got murdered on Valentine's Day, and he got shot in the heart.
Wow.
That shit is nuts. Nuts. You can't make this shit up. And so, yeah, so long story short, I go on the road, and I'm on the road with Bobby for like 2 more months, like 6 to 8 weeks. And then when I came back, and within that time period, that's what happened with June. Then I came back to the neighborhood to see Greg. And I was like, yo, I heard about June. And we started talking. And he was like, yeah, man, we had a situation with Select Records. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, ah. So I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, damn, man, what I'm going to do, man? Oh, man. I was like, damn, son. I said, well, you know what, man? I'm a man of my word. I said, in the last note we all left on, I said, that was a special moment. And I said, and I told him that one day we'd do a record together. I said, so this is what we should do. I said, what was the last song that y'all worked on together? And he said, it's called Skill Trade. I said, how it go? And he was like, together we're coolin', the mic we're ruling, suckers we're schooling, you better stop booing. Skill Trade, we know what we doing. And I said, you know what? We're gonna do that record. And he said, what you mean? And I said, you're gonna do, I said, because no one else knows June's rhymes. I said, so you're gonna keep his style alive. I said, you're gonna do the rhymes that he would have said on the record. And then I'm gonna add on and put some shit to it. I said, and then I said, we just see where it goes. Maybe we get a deal, whatever. But at least if something happens of it, then we'll take proceeds and give it to his family. And then we end up doing Skill Trade as an A-side, and the B-side was Dope on the Rope. And you know how they say the rest is history. Like we put it out, you know, we pressed it up ourselves. We did the whole store-to-store thing, and shout out to the Awesome 2, shout out to Cool DJ Red Alert, Chuck Chill Out, Marley Marl. All it gradually, Awesome 2 was the first ones to play Any Nice and Smooth record, and then that's what made us make Teddy Ted take him in as our DJ, you know. And then after that, Red started spinning it. Then you know Chuck Chill Out, and everybody started picking up on the single. And then eventually we got to deal with Sleeping Bag. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, because I think there's a big part of you guys' story that people, I think, forget, like, what you guys did in that era. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we put some work in, you know. It's like, one day I'm going to sit down and write down how much shit we influenced. You know, I'm going to give you a funny one, though. The word whip, everybody knows whip. What's a whip? A car. Right? Your whip is your car. We were the first ones to say whip on a record.
What?
Dude, I'll tell you the origin of it. Whip comes from Boston. So when I was running around with Bobby, they used to say, yo, we're going to get the whip. We're going to get the whip. I was like, what are you talking about? The car. So I was like, oh, shit. So I brought it back to New York. And I started talking about the whip. And everybody was like, the whip? What are you talking about? So then we put whip in records. And we kept saying, the whip, the whip, the whip. Now, you look on fucking car commercials, they go, get your new whip. I'm like, oh! this is crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, we could go on forever, man. It was so many intricate parts, you know,
right.
and yeah, just a lot of.
Been sampled a million times.
Yes,
What you
yes.
singing earlier? Total Devastation.
Right.
Oh, total devastation. Many clouds of smoke. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I want to get blunted, my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to my brothers. Yes, sir. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
No, I just wanted to ask. I wanted to ask you. Let's take it back just a couple topics ago to Bobby Brown.
Yes.
So when you were writing for him.
Yes.
So the first thing I thought, I was like, all right, the first rap I remember off the top of my head was on the Every Little Step. Been in this game for a long, long time. I'm guaranteed to bust whatever rhyme.
Yeah.
Was that you that wrote all that for him?
Now,
because I know that record was Ellie Reed and Babyface, but I mean
that's a good one. Now, shout out to Billy Bill. That was his cousin, his first cousin, and Bill just passed last year. But Billy Bill wrote that one because as the Don't Be Cruel album started to take off, I was knee deep in forming Nice and Smooth. So I wasn't as hands-on with him. But I did. Oh, now what I'll tell you this. Are you familiar with this song, The Girl Next Door? You ever heard that one? You ever Girl Next Door? You check out, that's on his first album. But that was one of the first rhymes I wrote. And it goes, what could she have in store? The girl next door, her very essence, her presence, I do adore. And being this close is driving me wild. I love her personality, her style, her smile, and I go on and I'm talking about the girl next door and all like that, right? But I was writing all those joints. So I wrote like 5 joints. It's like all the rhymes, any rhymes he said, and he rhymed on about 5 records on his first album. I wrote those. And then when it was time for the Don't Be Cruel album, funny how things work out. He was going through it, but he wanted some dope producers, and the Don't Be Cruel album, as far as the record company was concerned, they said, this is your make it or break it, Bobby. You know what I'm saying? You gotta win with this one, buddy. And at that time, New Edition was through the roof, And so, we had a pat and it was a bond. I said, yo, listen, dude, fuck that. Any shape, form, or fashion, I'm here, bro. Because I believe in you. I know you're gonna blow up, and so from so on. All right, boom. So the odds were stacked against everybody at that point in time. And so he was thinking logically like anybody would think. He was thinking about his different relationships. He was like, yo, I know Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. I gotta, I want them on my album, whatever. But, politics of the game, whatever. At that time, MCA wasn't trying to, do all that. So he's like, well, here's a handful of producers that we want you to work with, Bobby, make it work. And one of them was Teddy Riley. Now, at the time, Teddy he was just forming Guy. So it was no Guy music out. He had did Keith Sweat, and he had did my man, Johnny Kemp. Friday night, just got paid. And then he did some Stephanie Mills work or whatever. Now, Teddy and I used to have the same barber. Shout out to Denny Moe, Superstar Barbershop, and Denny Moe's. He's still relevant. He's still rocking, cutting hair in Harlem to this day. And he's done everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I introduced him to Mike Tyson. It's just, his list goes on. All right. But at that time, he was cutting Keith Sweat, Teddy, Dougie Fresh, and me and Greg. All right, cool. So I would see Teddy. I didn't know him personally, but I knew who he was. And we'd see each other in the barbershop. Yo, what's up, man? What's up, man? Bam. But it was common knowledge that he lived in Harlem in the St. Nick projects at that time. And what Teddy was doing back then was unprecedented. He would have top-notch celebrities. He wouldn't record. He had all his equipment set up on the first floor in the projects, man. As soon as you walk in the projects, the first floor, and he had a door open. He had juice, you know what I'm saying? People knew, they wasn't trying to fuck with him, and they wasn't, but when you walked in, you walk in the projects, you walk in the building, the first floor, you walk straight in Teddy's apartment right there with the door open. You walk up in there, you see all this equipment. So he would have everybody come there. He had Stephanie Mills come there. He had everybody come there. So long story short, when they threw his name in the hat, Bobby was expressing to me his disenchantment. He was like, yo, man, fuck all this and boom. And they want me to rock with this dude named Teddy Riley. I said, no, that motherfucker's dope, son. And I started telling him, you know, the things that he had did. And I said, that would be, let's go see what he got. So I went with him there. And when we got to his crib, we kicked it with Teddy for a few minutes. And the next thing you know, Teddy started telling us about his new group guy and all this that he was forming. And he was telling us how he discovered Aaron in a church in Brooklyn. It was his parents' church, but in Brooklyn. So anyway, he kept bragging about Aaron, like, you gotta hear this nigga sing, man. This motherfucker's like Stevie Wonder and Charlie Wilson combined, you know? So me and Bobby looking at each other like, now that's some nigga, yeah, don't get blasphemous in this motherfucker, little Teddy. You know, that's how we looking at him, like, that's a tough one to fuck. What? Stevie and Charlie Wilson, motherfucker. So long story short, he was like, he's coming. So Aaron gets there. And this shit had to be the funniest shit in the world as I recap it, because anybody that has ever met Aaron Hall knows that he stutters. Maybe not now as much, but back then he really was so, and he go into his shit. So, but he don't stutter when he sing, obviously. So he comes through the door and he's like, what's up, Teddy? And hi, Bobby. And he's like, he's stuttering and shit. So I'm like, this is just singing. Motherfucker, you talking about? So I'm just standing there. I'm like, this shit is weird. And then he was like, yo, Aaron, sing something for the man. Sing a Stevie Wonder song for him. And this motherfucker turned around and he was like, if it's magic, then why can't it be everlasting? Oh my God. He's like the sun and all. He started going there.
Yeah.
And he was like, hold the key to every heart. Yo, it was so beautiful. His voice was so insane. We was just standing there like, yo, you a, what? He was like, you a bad motherfucker. So he was like, so Aaron was, Teddy was telling us before Aaron got there that he said, man, it's amazing our chemistry. He said, he could write to any beat that I make. He says, that's why I want y'all to wait. You know, he's on his way. Anyway, so now he comes in and he goes, yo, so at that time, when you listen to the song Prerogative, it goes, when it first comes on, you hear this kick, the kick drum. So it goes, boom. Right? Okay. So that's all Teddy had. He didn't have the bass line yet. And all he had was, he had this shit on repeat, I guess, with the click track. So it was like, boom. Click, 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 boom. Click, click, right? So that's, we had got used to hearing that shit. So now he done started singing some Stevie Wonder shit. The click track's still going. And so he goes, here, so Teddy gets hyped. He goes in the room, he come back out, he got his fucking glasses on. He put, oh, the motherfucker Teddy, I love Teddy. Shout out to Teddy Riley. Back in the days. I know this will bring back memories. Teddy always would put his glasses on before he started recording. So he had his glasses and shit with these rhinestones in them. He throw his glasses on, he start playing that fucking keyboard. So he comes back in there and he goes, oh, so he goes, before he gets into the bass line, Aaron says, so tell me, Bobby, what do you want to say? What do you want this song to be about? And Bobby said, well, you know, I just want to say, you know, I can do whatever I want to do, man. You know what I'm saying? I like, you know, like it's my prerogative. You know what I'm saying? So he's like, all right, it's your prerogative, right? It's your prerogative? All right, bet. Next thing you know, Teddy starts that bullshit. I mean, like a fucking wizard, dude. He made that fucking beat in about, realistically, about 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm watching all of this shit go around before my eyes. And the next thing you know, Aaron goes off into a fucking rant. He's like, it's my prerogative, baby. It's my prerogative. It's my prerogative, baby. And he's like, whoa. He started doing all these crazy riffs and shit. And so we sitting there like, woo! So I'm looking at Bobby. I'm looking at Bobby like, I told you these niggas was bad. So we sitting there. So now we just smiling.
You're witnessing magic, right? Right before your eyes.
Witnessing magic, beloved. You know? So now we sitting there and all this energy is flowing. And Aaron starts, people always talking all this stuff about me. Why don't they just let me live? It's my prerogative, baby. It's my prerogative. And he kept doing that. So he's going into his zone. Bobby's like, he's vibing like, oh shit, yeah. So he was like, this is what I'm gonna do, Bobby. He said, I'm gonna demo this shit for you. And then you take it and make it your own. So by the time Aaron finished singing and going crazy, he didn't finish the song yet. They got to a certain point, and Teddy was like, okay, wait. I need a bridge for this song. So he was like, yeah. So we were sitting there. And so I'm listening to the different lyrics, and Bobby is interjecting a few things and Aaron is running with it. And so, but I know Bobby. So I said, I'm listening to the song. People always talk about. They say I'm nasty, really don't care. Whatever. I'm living with it. I'm receiving it. So when they said they want a bridge, me knowing Bobby, I said, I got a bridge. So Bobby turns around and goes, well, what's up, Smoke? I said, say, don't get me wrong, I'm really not souped. Ego trips are not my thing. Like that, right? So Bobby was like, oh, say it again. And I was like, don't get me wrong. So when I did it again, Teddy was like, nah, I don't know. Nah, I don't really like that, right? So Bobby was like, hey, yo, whatever this nigga say, I'm doing. He said, no. Well, how that shit go against moving? So I told him the bridge. And then he was like, it's in. And then after that, they just went crazy. And when Aaron actually finished, Bobby was like, so we played it back, we was listening to it. Bobby said, man, I can't fucking sing. You hear these riffs you doing, man? He was like, no, Bobby. You listen to the shit and make it your own. And Bobby made that shit his own. And the rest was fucking history.
Yeah. Man, that's a legendary story right there on the creation of that record.
Hey, speaking of, I guess iconic songs, I guess the other iconic song we got to talk about is You, Gangstar, DWYCK, Lemonade is a popular drink. And
it still is, baby. Oh,
man.
Oh, my God. Rest in peace, Guru, man. Yo, I love Guru. Yo, let me tell you something. Funny shit, right? So now, Gangstar and Nice and Smooth are like, it's just some deep shit. It's like our lives and careers are kind of like a lot of synonymy going on there. And the thing is, they were on Wild Pitch in the beginning. We were on Sleeping Bag. They ended up getting out of their deal with Wild Pitch. Sleeping Bag ended up going out of business, and we got picked up by Def Jam. They got picked up by Chrysalis, right? Okay. The bugged out shit about it is how I met Guru on the 4 train. Now, we both got music videos out, the whole shit. We're on the 4 train, not by choice. The shit fucked up. Right? So we got hot records. The label went out of business. And when the label, that was like unprecedented. Nobody, like, where could I get advice from? Because labels weren't going out of business back then. So when they filed for bankruptcy and went out of business, as I got different lawyers and I found out, I was like, damn, it means, because we had just went gold. So, and it was interesting because we were going tooth and nail with these motherfuckers, but they end up agreeing with us for $1 album. And that was big for back then, but so we was getting, that was my anticipation, and I had my oldest daughter, Genesis, she was on the way. So I was a new father, my first album, and I was like, things are gonna be all right. Label goes out of business. So I'm like, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Do I still get my bag? You know what I'm saying? Can they pay me before they leave? What the fuck? Well, so I find out, you know what I'm saying? I find out that I'm not gonna see a damn cent of that first album for 7 years.
Oh, man.
So I'm like, what? What the fuck do you mean? Yeah.
You guys already gold at that time?
Yes.
It's already gold.
Yes, it's gold with no bread. So now, woo. So that's why I say the grace of God, because the label goes out of business. I'm not going to see none of that money for 7 years. However, we the hottest thing on the streets. We hotter than fish grease, and I'm on the 4 train. So I'm sitting on the fucking 4 train, going home, and this guy walks through the cars. Now, when Words That I Manifest came out, I used to say to myself, that guy looked like Malcolm X. Like, I always thought that Guru looked like Malcolm X when he wore wire rim glasses. I was like, this motherfucker right here remind me of Malcolm X. So, but I knew the group, I knew the name, Gangstar.
Right.
I'm sitting there, and he comes walking through the train cars. So I do a double check. I look up. Oh shit. So when I seen him, I said, he looks at me. It was like we looked at each other at the same time. He was like, yo. And he was like, nice and smooth. Like we called each other the fucking group. Like he goes, nice and smooth. I said, gangsta. Right? So, right? So we give each other a pound. He's like, yo, what you doing up here? I said, dude, I live over here. I said, what stop you getting off? He said, 183rd. I said, me too. So it was like, we both lived on 183rd, but on two opposite sides of the Grand Concourse. This shit was crazy. So I was on 183rd in Webster, and he was on 183rd, closer to University, right by University Ave. So long story short, we exchanged numbers. You know, I tell him I love your shit, man. Your album's dope. He's like, I love your shit. All right, cool, fine. Then a few weeks go by, and they had this movie theater on Fordham Road, and it was called the Loewy's Paradise Movie Theater. And I was taking my girl there to see, I think it was Rocky 3. Some shit, Rocky 3 was out. So we're going to see Rocky, and Guru and Premier coming in. I don't know, they was going to see some other shit. So we were like, yo, we start talking. That's how I met Preem, and one thing led to another. And then in a separate scenario, Greg meets them. So it's so bugged out. So Greg's hanging out with them, and yo, boom, boom, boom. And then I'm coming by the crib every once in a while, and we chopping it up. And so, but before we got signed with Def Jam, they were signed with Chrysalis. So we hanging, but it's like some real camaraderie because we love each other's craft and we respect each other as artists. And they were some of the key people that was inspiring us. Like, yo, man, we know y'all motherfuckers is gonna get another situation. Y'all gonna get another deal, man. Y'all niggas is too dope not to get another deal. And they was like, look, we got out of this situation, and we got picked up by Chrysalis. Somebody gonna pick y'all up. And sure enough, a few months later, Def Jam picked us up, And so at that point, since we used to always hang, we'd say, we're gonna do a record together. We're gonna do a record together. So when we finally got picked up by Def Jam, we did a song called Down the Line. And then we had Guru on it, and we used the beat for Manifest. And that was our posse cut. And so Guru appeared on that. And then they was like, and now you got to do one for our album. We got to do one for our album. And then eventually that became DWYCK a year later. And it was always in the mix. We always talked about doing it. And back then, the label situation, everything was just different. Everybody just was about their paper, which I could dig it from a label perspective. But they were like, the idea of collaborations, I was like, yo, motherfucker, that's cross promotions. Like, that's a great thing to do. And they'd be like, they were only thinking about their bottom dollar. So we went to Def Jam, and we, when we did DWYCK and everything, we went to Def Jam, and they were like, nah, we don't want y'all to put that on your album. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? I was like, oh, you stupid? This shit is fire. And they was like, well, whatever, and they was on some bullshit. First, when we told them, we was like, we're doing a record with Gangstar for our album, they was on some bullshit. They didn't want us to do it. And long story short, and if we didn't have that conviction to still get it done, you know what I'm saying? That was a thing with Nice and Smooth. In hindsight, it was a blessing, but in the mix, in that moment, we went against the norm and against the grain in a lot of ways, Everybody at that time were like, why are you guys singing and rapping? When we had girls in the video in bathing suits and all of that, motherfuckers was trying to ban some of our videos. Like, we went through all manner of crazy shit. Yeah. And then right after us, we started seeing all these motherfuckers blow up with the same formula. I was
and you're like, we did that first.
Right. I was like, you fucking rats. You rat finks. Oh man, I'll tell you a funny Russell Simmons story. But anyway, but back to that, man. Oh, so let me go deeper with the DWYCK joint for you, a little deeper. Mm-hmm. So back then everything was on cassettes. So now by this time, my partner Greg Knight, he's smoking weed now. So woo! Now I introduced the boy. I fucking created a monster. Because at this point, he out smoking me and the whole shit. But he getting.
At this point, he's a member of Cypress Hill.
There you go. So now he's out. He smoked me under the table. And if you're not with Greg, especially back then, if you're not right by him, joined by the hip, shit, He be done forgot you fucking exist. He's smoking and he start hearing some beats and he get in the studio some fucking where. Oh man. So long story short, Premier had been gave him the track. He been gave him the DWYCK track. So he had this shit for about 2 months, but he never gave it to me. So we doing all types of other shit. You know, we moving around and he would mention it every once in a while. And I was like, yo, what's up with that, B? Or sometimes I would meet up with him and I hear the beat in his car. And I'd be like, hey, yo, that's the Gangstar shit, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, make me a copy of the cassette, man. All right, I'm gonna bring it to you. So long story short, he brought the tape to me 2 days before the session. Okay, fuck it. So he brings the tape to me and I was like, all right, bet. So now certain songs I like to live with, and then certain songs, you know, I'll do right impromptu right there. But particularly when something really means something to me, I like to sit down and craft it. And that one, in my mind, I was like, I want to craft this song. You know, I really want to craft this because these are my brothers, and they believed in us. I'm big on that. Like, when a motherfucker believe in you, you know, really like, you know, okay. So anyway, it was on my mind. I got to make this shit insane. So fine. We get to the studio, and at that moment, I didn't have shit. I didn't have shit written. So we come in the studio. Greg is prepared. He walking that motherfucker. We rock for a fee. Rock. He goes in. One take, Charlie.
Killing that shit.
Yeah, killed it. I was like, woo! I'm like, bravo, nigga, bravo. Next thing you know, then Guru steps in the motherfucker. I chant eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yo, they're fucking dancing over this beat. I'm like, oh shit, this is beautiful. So now I'm bugging. Damn it, nothing won't come out. So I got my composition notebook in my hand. So Preem was like, yo, you good, Smiles? What's up, baby? What you need? I was like, yo, Preem, pardon me, man. You know, I just got the motherfucker beat. He was like, you just got the beat? Because first Preem was like, you don't like it, Smiles? I said, no, I fucking love this shit. I said, just give me a minute, Preem. Don't worry about it. I said, I just got the fucking beat. He said, you just got? I said, yeah, man. I said, well, watch. I'm gonna flip this motherfucker. So he was like, all right. So we chilling. We blowing trees. So now we ran out of Phillies. And so everybody, you know, it was a crew of us, and WC in the Mad Circle, you know, Cube's cousin, he was there. He was there when we made DWYCK. Yeah, WC was there. Yes. Oh, yes, sir. So the thing was, so they go to make a run. They go make a store run for some Phillies. And the last thing I said to Guru, as he said, yo, Smoke, you want me to get you something? I said, yeah, a couple of 40s. I said, and some Phillies. So he said, all right, I got you. So he leaves out. I'm sitting there. And when I have writer's block or anything like that, I search for the first phrase. Whenever I get the intro, then the rhymes it's floodgates. But I got to find the first thing that I want to say. So I'm sitting there and I hear this little voice say, what is the last thing you said to Guru? Just like that. What is the last thing you said to Guru? And I was like, asked him to get me some Phillies. And so, yes, he's Guru, Gifted Unlimited Rhymes Universal. But before he became Guru, he was Keithy E. So I said, yo, Keithy E, I left my Philly at home. Do you have another? I want to get blunted, my brother. Soon as I wrote that shit, yo, Keithy E, because I you know, when I thought about it, I said, I'm going to bug his ass out because I'm going to call him Keithy E. Like, nobody knows that. And so a lot of people, you know, they don't even catch it because the way I say it, I was like, yo, Keithy E, I left my Philly at home. Do you have another? I want to get blunted, my brother. Now may I make a mark? That shit just came out. Then make a spark over this fat track. Or should I say dope beat? Subtract, delete, all of the wick whack. They want to be abstract, but they lack the new knack. It's coming from way, way back. And yo, Premier, please pass that Buddha. So now I'm on one. I pins it. I jump in the booth. I spit it. All the while, they didn't get back from the store yet. So it's just me and the engineer. What's his name? Sancho. Oh, shit, I'm sorry, man. But his last name is Sancho. I love you, nigga. But anyway, he was premiering them engineer. So long story short, so I go in and I do it. And he was like, that shit is fire. I said, yeah. So when we heard them, they rang the intercom downstairs. I said, all right, listen, don't tell them I did it. Don't tell them I did the verse. I'm gonna act like I'm asleep on the couch. So it's like, all right. So I laid out. I got my book on my chest and shit. So they all start coming in one by one. Oh, this nigga sleep. So I just laid there. I just kept laying there. And they all start coming, yo, Smarts, yo, Smarts. So Preem comes in, he go, yo, Smooth, man, fuck it, man. You can do it tomorrow, man. You know, it's all right, it's all right. I said, yo, play that shit for him. And then they heard it, they was like, ah! I was like, yeah, niggas. I got y'all niggas now.
Nah, that's an iconic verse, man. Like iconic,
oh, yeah.
iconic, man. On an already iconic song. So you already know what that is. Yeah. Well, hey, man, I feel like I could talk to you all day, and it's definitely appreciated. I guess the last thing I really wanted to ask is, I know you just dropped the EP.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And then I just wanted to know if there's any possibility we're going to see some new 2020 Nice and Smooth.
Woo! Well, look, I'm going to tell you something, man.
You know, I know you know the Run the Jewels song.
Yeah, it's your fire.
Mean, like, it all makes sense right now.
Yeah, bro. Let me tell you something. I've been chefing, man. I've been chefing, and I got a cuisine for you, brother. So for 20, I'm not sure because, you know, this thing, you know, I could never just rule anything out. But right now, I'm just in my bag right now. And when let me prepare this meal for you, baby. Huh? Smooth ain't gonna let you down, daddy. The legendary Smooth B ain't gonna let you down, baby.
Let me know, man.
When I finish, oh man, because I'm in the process of finishing my album now.
Get it on K-Day for sure.
What? I'm sending y'all some treats.
Yeah.
And you know the EP, so the song before, you know I did it in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear the Spanish version?
I didn't hear the Spanish.
Oh my God. So I'm like, ya lo ves que tú me quieras azul. Besé ayer, necesito tu luz. Pasa los años, sigo contando. Hoy me levanto y no estás a mi lado. When I was young, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I'm doing that version in Cali. So, you know, that video, I'm gonna shoot that video out here. But I got a lot of treats for you, brothers. And once I finish that cuisine, I'll sit down, I'll build with G, and you know, we'll figure it all out.